Hi guys, today we're here to talk all about my favorite foundations of 2019. Most of these launched in 2019, I believe, some of them 2018, but I didn't really fall in love with them till 2019. So we're going to be wrapping all of those up here today. As always, I will name a favorite. That will be the last one that I'll talk about, but these are all my favorites. That's why I'm including them. So be sure to listen to the shade availability, the price, are they cruelty-free, is it drugstore, is it high-end, because I always get, well, what's your favorite? But I think it's important to keep in mind what's going to be your favorite, because my favorite is like 60 bucks and not cruelty free. And if your budget is $15 and you only shop cruelty free, then you don't really, you're not left with many options. So I have reviewed all of these in depth. They will all be listed down below. I'll also be doing a roundup from the 12 days of foundation. So there's some foundations that I really love during the 12 days, but I haven't had as much time to use them. So I don't want to include it in a favorites of 2019 if I've only used it a couple times, albeit I enjoyed it those times. So let's go ahead and get started. The first foundation that I want to mention is one that is a little newer to me. So this is the NYX Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation, and this I have in the shade 15 Caramel. It comes in 45 shades, which is incredible. It's comparative to their Can't Stop Won't Stop in terms of shades. So if you felt that Can't Stop Won't Stop was too full coverage, too matte, this could be a great option for you. I felt like this lasted on my skin really well. I'm kind of combo now, and it sort of has I don't want to say tinted moisturizer, but it feels really light. It looks really light. I'd say you can get about a medium coverage out of it. If you're super oily, I would definitely recommend the Can't Stop Won't Stop over this. And you could even mix that into a moisturizer or something to make it a little bit lighter. But this is a really, really beautiful option. I think it looks like high end on the skin. I think the packaging is really cute. I love that it comes in a squeezy tube, and it is cruelty free, if I did not mention that. So yeah, overall, this is definitely one that I'll be continuing to use into the new year. A powder foundation that I really loved this year was from Makeup Forever. As soon as I heard they were launching this, I was so excited. The Matte Velvet Skin, because the Matte Velvet Liquid is still one of my absolute favorite foundations. I do one of these every year in terms of like my favorite foundations, and I still love that foundation. I think it's incredible. So when they said they were coming out with a powder, I was really pumped. There's only one product I can think of that I've tried from Makeup Forever and not liked. Like they said, this is like gives you velvet skin. It looks super smooth, buffs into the skin beautifully. I love it to set my face, but I also love it as a powder foundation as well. I think it is really, really incredible. You're getting 11 grams of product in here, which is about the average size for a powder foundation. It comes with a sponge, and I've seen a lot of people have great success with the sponge. It's got two different sides if you want to do a more light or full coverage. For me, I'm a brush gal when it comes to powder foundations. I love the Real Techniques buffing brush, but I think that this is a really beautiful option, and because it is Makeup Forever, it does come in a nice range of shades, I think, as well. So you should be able to find a shade for yourself, and nice slim packaging too. Like I said, I could do without the sponge and just cut it in half, but I really, really love this. Let's go back to the drugstore. This is one that I've heard almost nobody talking about, and I think it is gorgeous. It is the Covergirl Outlast Active. This is an SPF 20 foundation, if that's a bonus to you. I know some people don't like that. This does only come in 20 shades, which is not as great as some of their other ranges. The Matte Made, I've talked about that before. I really loved that foundation. That comes in 40 shades, I think. This comes in 20. So definitely not as good of a range, but if you are looking for something that is, again, this is kind of one of those natural finish foundations. You can get a pretty good coverage out of it. I wore it in like a medium coverage, but something about the way that this looks on the skin, again, has that high-end feel. I did a video a while back about drugstore foundations that look and feel high-end, because there's so much good stuff at the drugstore. I think it gets totally overlooked. Covergirl especially is like kind of one of those classic brands that people can tend to pass over, and they launch a lot of stuff, but like their Outlast mattifying powder is one of my favorites of all time, and this is definitely great. I had someone comment on my review of this and say that the setting spray, I think it was really, really good too. So if you do enjoy an SPF in your foundation and you have been looking for a new one, this could be a really, really good option. I would say this has a little bit of a thicker texture than the NYX does, and a little bit more coverage as well. It's tricky because when I do these foundation videos, people are always like, well, compare this to this, compare this to this, compare this to this, and it's really hard for me to compare like everything to everything. So if you're curious, I definitely recommend checking the reviews and watching the 2 reviews of what you're looking to check out, because then that way you can actually see it in action and hear my thoughts at the time of review. So moving on to the next one. Let's go back to high end. This is the Bobbi Brown Skin Long Wearing Weightless Foundation. This has an SPF of 15 in there. Or not she, I guess, because Bobbi Brown doesn't work for them anymore, but, or doesn't own it. They had a skin foundation a while back, and I don't know exactly what that was about because I hadn't tried it, but this is so good. A lot of you commented and said that this was your holy grail. Bobbi Brown is very well known for their complexion products. They've got a good shade range as well. It took me a little while to figure out what shade I was gonna be. I'm Golden Honey 5.75. It's definitely pretty warm, but really a gorgeous foundation. I know some of you that had quite oily skin, I think you said you didn't love this that much, but I really like it. I do think it looks like skin on the skin. I think it has a beautiful finish, but it's still really long wearing, and that's kind of the foundation that I've been into the past year or so, is something with a natural finish but still long wearing, that doesn't look or feel greasy but has that skin-like look. And a lot of that can be due to the actual amount you put on your face. I like to use a sponge, I like to build slowly. Those are all really important things, but yeah, Bobbi Brown was definitely up there for me. The foundation that I'm wearing right now, that I've been wearing a ton, I was wearing this weeks before the 12 days, and then of course after as well. This is probably the one from the 12 days of foundation that I've been reaching for the most. It's the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation, oil-free. I had never tried a Shiseido foundation before, and I'm so glad I finally tried this. I actually really like the concealer too. This has a really big shade range as well. Most of these have a very good shade range, because that's something that comes to mind when I am picking these, because like I reviewed the NYX Bear With Me skin tint, and I really liked that, but I think that only came in 12 shades, and that's like a smidge more natural and matte than the Naturally Radiant, but Naturally Radiant has 45 shades, so therefore I would think it's probably gonna fit more people. But yeah, the Shiseido, I would recommend this if you do have an oilier skin type. It has really good coverage. I think you can build it up to full. I'm wearing it at about a medium today with a powder foundation over it, which I will talk about. But I think that this, again, has a gorgeous finish. I don't know exactly what they're talking about with the self-refreshing. I guess it's supposed to just look really good throughout the day, which I think it absolutely does. This is one that I've been reaching for when I want my makeup to last for a very long time. This has definitely been my go-to, and the foundation that I've tried the most recently that has really been kind of incorporated into my routine pretty fully. I've been reaching for this a lot, and I got the shade 410 Sunstone. I think it was 420 that looked pretty similar. That one was a little bit more golden. This one is a little bit more neutral, and I feel like matched me a little bit better. But yeah, I really like this. The powder foundation that I'm wearing today is from it's from Too Faced. It is their Born This Way powder foundation. I actually reviewed the Born This Way liquid this year as well, and I was debating including it because I really love that, but I only wanted to include one item from each brand. So I have been wearing this more than the liquid, although I do love the liquid, but I've been wearing this more just because I use this to set some of the lighter coverage foundations that I've been mentioning. So I feel like this is just so versatile. For the first half of the year, I was using the Makeup Forever to set, and then the second half of the year I was using the Too Faced. Again, a pretty good shade range in here. I'm wearing the shade Warm Sand. If you're wearing this as a powder foundation, you can get about like a light medium coverage out of it if you build it, maybe medium. But for me, because I like wearing my foundations in a little bit of a lighter coverage and lighter layers, I find adding a powder foundation on top really helps to even out coverage, add a little bit more coverage without making things look heavy. Or if it's a foundation that you feel like doesn't last on your skin that well, adding a powder foundation on top can really help. So I've got a full review on this if you want to see it in action as just a powder foundation, but I really love that it can do double duty, and this one comes with 10 grams of product in there, so again, a decent amount. This foundation I actually reviewed in 2018, but 2019 was when I really got to wearing it because I think it launched at the end of 2018. This foundation is so good, so underrated. It is the Revlon Candid, and I actually reviewed the Revlon Candid Glow. I found that when I was in the US back in October. I'll link that down below. That's actually not launching in Canada until I believe closer to the summer. It is available in the United States, and I do really like that, but I've had my hands on this for much much longer. Again, this isn't going to be something that's super matte, super long wearing, really, really full coverage, but you do actually get quite a bit of coverage out of it, and it has a really, really beautiful finish. The shade range is good. It's not exceptional. I found when I had a tan, 440 was quite a good match for me. I'm starting to lose my color now in the winter, unfortunately, but it says it's a natural finish anti-pollution foundation, oil-free, antioxidant, so it's supposed to kind of be somewhere between a skincare item and a foundation. I just treat it as a foundation. You do get a little bit less foundation in here, so 0.75 fluid ounces, but I think it is really gorgeous. I'm wearing the concealer today, and I think it is so good, and not enough people talk about it. So if you've kind of overlooked it, definitely consider giving it a go, because I think it looks really, really beautiful on the skin. Another great foundation that launched this year, I did actually 2 wear tests on this, is the L'Oreal Fresh Wear Foundation. Again, I'm kind of describing all of these foundations the same because I was looking for the same thing in all of them. But again, you're getting a really good shade range in here. The concealer is really good. Like drugstore concealers, 100% stepped it up this year, because before I was never a snob about anything at the drugstore, but I was always kind of like about drugstore concealers, but they have really stepped it up. Covergirl has a good one. Revlon has a good one. Maybelline just came out with a good one. L'Oreal has a good one. Like, they're all really coming out with it. Actually, NYX is launching a concealer to go with the Glow foundation, which I'm really excited about because I love their Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. But anyways, this is the Fresh Wear, and I think that this is a really good option if you have an oilier skin type, but you're looking for something that's going to stick around on your face but not be heavy. I think the freshness really kind of comes through. I would actually kind of compare it to the Shiseido. I think they're kind of trying to both do the same thing. I think that this gives really beautiful coverage, natural finish. You're getting a pump. It's in a glass bottle. I think it looks really nice, and that also just helps you pick out your shade as well, because that can be a nightmare at the drugstore sometimes. And I think that this is really good, and the concealer that came out with it is great as well. Now on to my favorite of the year. The rest of those were kind of in no particular order, but this one is at the top because this is what I wore all year. I can actually feel like we're running out of this sucker. So this is the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. This is not new. This has been around for 100 years, but I had not tried it. And I think they're discontinuing their matte tinted moisturizer, but this is actually so good. Like, I'm less oily than I was, so if you have super oily skin, this probably isn't going to be you. You could try like a primer and a setting spray and maybe powder foundation over it. But I wore this so much. It's just, like I've said before, good skin in a bottle. I'm gonna be wearing it into 2020 and maybe 2021, but probably not, because I switch up things a lot. But like, this guy has stuck with me for quite a while. You get a ton of product in here, so although it is a higher end, it is 1.9 ounces, and the average foundation is 1 ounce. So you're really almost getting double in here, and it is a lighter coverage product, so you don't need a lot of it. I've worn this so much, and it's, you know, there is still product in there, but just the fact that like I'm running through this, considering I probably own 100 foundations and this is what I continue to reach for over and over again, this says something to me. And I wore it in the summer, I've worn it in the winter, and I really, really enjoy it. I haven't been able to find anything as good as it. I found comparable products. Like, I would say at the drugstore, the most comparable thing perhaps would be the NYX Naturally Radiant foundation. Maybe that's actually what they're kind of going for. It's very similar, but yeah, this is just so good. It is radiant and luminous, but I don't find it greasy. It looks super natural on the skin. I would love to see some more shades because it has a good shade range, and because it is lighter coverage, it is more forgiving and you don't need it to match perfectly, but I always want more shades in everything. So yeah, this is definitely my top of the year. It really, really blew me away. It's been around for a long time, but I hadn't tried it, and I'm so glad that I finally did. I know a lot of you tried it after I was like, whoa, you know, this stuff is so good. So let me know what your favorite foundation was of 2019. Was it any of these? And let me know if I have in any way influenced you to pick up any foundations and how it worked out for you. I'm always curious to know, because, you know, just because I like something and we might have similar skin doesn't mean that you're gonna necessarily like it. So always curious to know if you picked up anything. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!